Welcome to Hong Kong and beyond, and today I'm going to be taking a look at The Wandering Earth 2, the Chinese sci-fi blockbuster that has just been released for Chinese Lunar New Year.
2044, The Space Elevator Crisis.
Oh my god.
2058, Lunar Fall Crisis. 2075, the Jupiter Gravitational Pull Crisis. 2078, the Solar Helium Flash Crisis. In order to survive, great efforts and sacrifices were made by man, who eventually won the victory of evolution.
So, CineAsia have released The Wandering Earth 2. It's been throughout the cinemas in UK and Ireland. We ourselves went to a screening of this at the Odeon in Exeter, as you can see now. So it was good to see this on the big screen. Sci-fi epic, and every inch of the screen was covered with something going on. My only one complaint would be that the projectionists didn't really know what they were doing, as we had half the subtitles on, half the subtitles off. But luckily for us, our good friend Mike Fury at the Warrior Agency, he sorted us out with the screener, so we was able to rewatch directly after we had just watched it. And it was worth it too, because there is a lot going on in this film, isn't there, Shaz?
There's tons going on.
So as many of you may know, The Wandering Earth Part 1 was on Netflix, and I don't know how everybody else felt about it, but I wasn't really blown away by The Wandering Earth Part 1. So the motivation for us to go and see this one was the fact that we have Andy Lau joining the fray, and he joins Jing on screen for this one. And to be honest, we weren't really expecting an awful lot from this, were we?
No, not really, no.
But oh boy, we couldn't be more wrong. This was a completely incredible experience at the cinema. The story for this one, it's a prequel to The Wandering Earth,
Which I didn't realise when we went. And I was thinking, why are they still on Earth? Like, as in where it's always been.
Yeah. Well, it didn't take you long to piece it together, thankfully. I perhaps should have shared some of my knowledge that I knew going into the film.
Yeah, but I do like to go into films sometimes and not really know what to expect.
Yeah, so I'm blaming it on you anyway. Anyways, this setup for The Wandering Earth, it shows you basically the AI from the original film, how that comes into being, which is quite interesting. And it also shows you the building of the world engines, which are, 10,000 of, spread across the planet to move it away from the sun, which is, eventually going to envelop the Earth and destroy it. And yeah, it's far out sci-fi. And now we'll have a lot of people out there that will look into this scientifically and go, well, that's ridiculous, that's not possible, that's never going to happen, why this, why that, why the other. I would challenge those people and say, when you watch a big budget Hollywood film, like say a Marvel film or a DC film, do you question the logic of somebody flying through the sky without any engines at all? So on, so forth. It's a fictional fantasy, and you want to be taken up with the ride and allow yourself to enjoy it. And it's very easy to do when it's this kind of quality. For me, this is a landmark for Chinese sci-fi. This time I looked at it and I thought, wow, the effects are completely up there with the big boys.
Yep.
It was breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking what was going on the screen.
It was tremendous. It looked fantastic, really, didn't it? So much of it looked like it was really happening that you had to remind yourself that it was CG.
I know.
If you wanted to, you didn't have to remind yourself.
Yeah, some of the effects with the battles with the drones and all the fighter planes at the beginning, because you've got the elevator, haven't you? That which is built. It's the lunar lift, isn't it?
And it shows you like the G-force that the crew are withstanding, and you're like, oh my goodness, I can really almost feel that through the film.
I quite buy into that because, you know, obviously at first they pass out and they're sick and so on and so forth. They need a little bit of training. And in the past, a lot of my criticism with these Chinese sci-fi films, including The Wandering Earth, has been, yeah, you've got effects, you've got all the rest, but you've got no story, you've got no heart. Well, I was wrong this time. They put in plenty of story, plenty of heart.
Lots of different sections of story. And
Yeah.
it's all sort of pieced together throughout the film.
Yes, we have a father with a dead daughter who is trying to keep her alive via the artificial intelligence, which is Andy Lau's role in this. Gives his character 3 dimensions and more. And then we have Wu Jing with his wife in the film, and that's another strong story. You know, everybody in this seems to have some motivation, you know, towards what they're doing and who they're going to become and where they want to go in the story.
Yeah.
And I really like it. You know, there's things in there. There's I don't want to ruin it. There's a deep fake of an actor, and at the cinema, I was convinced I saw the actor. Oh my god! I said to you, didn't I? I was like, oh my god, it's. But when you see it at home on your 4K TVs, you can tell quite clearly that that bit is fake. So you know that was.
Yeah.
But you know, we all went to see Rogue One and we saw fake Peter Cushing, so you know, no difference here. It was a nice little addition, I thought.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't work 100%.
Yeah.
Now, if we have to look at criticisms for this film, Shaz, I would say perhaps there's too much in it.
Maybe, yeah, a bit too long, maybe.
Yeah. The running time of this film was, I think, 2 hours 53 minutes, and I would trim it back by a good half an hour, 40 minutes if it was me, or have divided it into 2 films. And you know, make double the money, because there's plenty there. You could have had 2 separate parts. I mean, that opening bit with the terrorist and the attack, and then the follow-up bit where we have the introduction of Andy's character with the moon setting and the backstory for him and what happened to his family. There's an awful lot going on before we even get started on, you know, getting the Earth engines up and running. Yeah. And it's quite political too. I would say you could probably cut some of that out for some of the adventure and excitement and sci-fi that's in there. But that's my personal take on it. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think maybe, and I think there were a few nice little like comedy moments, weren't there? That were sort of implanted, just a few, just maybe the right amount for the type of film. So I like that it tried to cover sort of all bases. You know, maybe you could say they had some of that political seriousness, they had the action, and then they had a little bit of comedy. So I think it was well balanced, really. But I guess if you were going to chop some of it off, you could remove some of maybe the not so important sections of bits.
Yeah, not to say that none of it was important, just
if there was any like filler bits maybe that were crucial to the storyline.
I think there was some filler in there, and you know, the completists out there will want every single minute plus more. Yeah. But I think it would run better, more efficiently, and be a more satisfying experience with some of that trimmed out. That being said, you know, again, this really is a landmark film. It's totally incredible, and the performances are 100% plus. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Wu Jing, Andy Lau, they're really on top of the game in this, and they really deliver. And what was interesting for me to see was watching this with, I'd say it was like a 99% Chinese audience, and was to see their reaction. And, you know, there was a lot of laughing at things that we weren't quite sure of when it was on, but then when we sat down second time to watch, we kind of was getting a little bit more. So that was interesting, and it was also interesting to see some of the ladies' reaction to Wu Jing when he was on the screen. Now, I always think of Wu Jing as just a solid action kung fu hero, but I think he's a little bit of a heartthrob, You know, there was a fair bit of giggling going on when he was on screen.
There was.
So kudos, Wu, you know. Well impressed, you know. I expected that to be reserved for Andy Lau, but no, Wu Jing is definitely on the radar for the women, so you know. Okay, so we saw a lot of influences for this film, didn't we?
We did. I mean, I noticed after one of the really sort of action-packed sequences, because it was sort of in a desert, wasn't it? And then there were like, was it about 3 little meerkats all sort of sat up, sort of looking at the aftermath of what had just happened. And I thought, oh, that's really cute, that's quite funny. And then you said it reminded you from another film.
It did, and this is a bizarre link to make, but Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because right at the beginning of that film, there's like a atomic explosion and there's some meerkats there. So I wonder if this was a kind of a nod of the head to that, which I wouldn't have expected, but I saw it there. Did anybody else see it? You know, there's definitely overtones of 2001 with the AI and you know the light on the lens of the AI, especially when Wu Jing's being questioned at one scene. That, you know, real strong pang to 2001, which is not a bad place to go. Kubrick is up there with cinema's finest ever. Also, you were checking out all the dates in the film and you spotted one in particular.
Yeah, 2046 popped up and I just instantly thought of Wong Kar-wai.
Yeah. Was that coincidental? I don't think it was. I think that was put in there on purpose. But yeah, it's nice. There is so much to dig into with this film. If you guys get a chance to go and see this at cinema, I would say very definitely do so.
So if you don't get a chance to catch it at the cinema, I definitely pick up a copy when it's available in due course. Not sure when that will be yet.
So there you go, folks. You have it from us. 2 thumbs up. An incredible film, an event, I would say. And we're definitely looking forward to when this one gets released on Blu-ray, hopefully by CineAsia sometime soon in the future. I mean, really, I'd like to have a 4K of this one.
Yeah, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just because of all the detail, so hint, hint.
That's it, some films really deserve a 4K. You see some put on 4K and you think, what are they going to do with that? But a sort of science fiction film like this really needs it. You know, it really, well, not needs it, deserves it to be seen at its best.
Just before we go as well, I would just like to point out that there is a lot of artistry in this film. I don't feel like I've underlined that enough so far. There's quite a lot of camera shots in this that I would have taken the time just to linger on a little bit more. And there's some very poignant philosophy within what is said. You know, Andy Lau has some really good lines in this, and that really sits well with me. So if you like that in your films, don't just think it's just a brainless actioner. It really does have a lot of sentiment and a lot of thought there as well. I think that's it, don't you, Shaz?
Yeah.
So we will see you guys on the next one.